The vacant home tax in Toronto is here in 2023 and people are finding themselves having to pay some pretty hefty bills. So in this video, I'm going to tell you guys the 5 things you need to know about this property tax to make sure to avoid any potential fines that are here to come, and you can stay protected with your assets. What's going on, everybody? My name is Andrew. We're going to talk about the vacant home property tax recently introduced in Toronto for 2023. And we're going to talk about this regardless of what city you may be investing in, because I can see this happening across all major cities in Ontario and it will affect you sooner or later. So the first thing you need to know is that the vacant home tax is a tax imposed by the government in order to have investors or homeowners not leave their properties vacant, because we know that there is a housing crisis and the government sees these vacant units as potential places for people to stay. And they're not wrong about it. However, they're not really addressing the major problem, which is why is it that real estate investors or property owners prefer to keep their units vacant rather than rent them out. And we all know that this may have to do with the nature of the landlord and tenant board, and how landlords sometimes feel that if they rent their unit out and they find themselves in a bad landlord-tenant situation, that they're kind of stuck. What is this going to mean to you as a real estate investor for 2023? Now, the deadline to fill out your declaration for the vacant tax was in February, and if you forgot to make the declaration, they said that there would be fines being imposed to homeowners. Now, the second thing I want to tell you here, which is the big question, what is the amount of tax I'll have to pay if my unit is vacant? According to the City of Toronto website, they are going to be taxing properties at a rate of 1% of the total assessed value of that property. So let's say this property is worth $1 million and you've had it vacant for a period of time, you may be having to pay $10,000 on top of your existing tax bill. The third thing that you need to understand here is now classification and definition of a vacant unit. If your property has been vacant for a period of 6 months, that is going to be considered a vacant property. That's going to lead us into the fourth point that you need to know about the vacant home tax, which is exemptions. A few things might be a little bit gray when it comes to enforcement, classification, definitions, and all such things, but there are a lot of obvious things that they will consider to be a reasonable exception, such as renovations. And if you're doing renovations, they want to know what type of renovations you're doing. Are you doing them with permits? Are they necessary? Have you intentionally delayed renovations, and other such things? This will all be at the discretion of a chief somebody here at the City of Toronto who's going to be looking at these declarations that you're going to submit. Now, there are other exemptions here, such as death of principal owner. You're going to have court orders that state that the property can't be occupied, or maybe their legal ownership is being transferred, and these are all reasonable reasons why a property may be vacant. But what they're really looking to see is that it's not vacant just because you don't want to rent it out and have no interest of being a landlord or having any of your family members live in the property. Now, the fifth thing that I want to talk to you guys about here is enforcement. And what the city says they might do is they might periodically audit. For example, if you have a property that you're declaring is rented, they may audit to see if you're declaring rent at that property. That will indicate that this place is in fact rented. And let's say you have a family member living at a property, they're going to want to see that they have a corresponding address with respect to their driver's license, OHIP, vehicle insurance, vehicle registration, other corresponding tax documents, basically indicate that you're living at that property. Now, some of us, when we move or change addresses, we don't immediately change our address on the driver's license, and that could impact you negatively if you're trying to declare one of your family members as living at this address. So what does this all mean to you? It means that if you want to keep your property vacant, you need to be aware of the potential tax implications and weigh it out. Is it really worth it to have it empty, or should you find somebody to live in that property? So let me know what you're doing in the comments. Tell me what you think about the vacant home property tax. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.